you won't blame me for risking his life because I have to tell the truth about our meeting. I was well aware when they were giving me this information that they were snitching on their crew. And one of their crews is Gerald Sibia and Steve Mutsumi. They were snitching on them. And that's why he was afraid to read these two names on record before the country watching. Well, he's not the only one. We heard even the judge made remarks, being worried because another Shibiri who works under Sibia was afraid to read another name before the Matlanga Commission. That tells you that there are powerful people out there that have been feared by the top generals in the police. That's why the judge even was concerned about it, that if the generals are afraid, who then is going to protect the citizens? So this is a background behind why I had to write this. It was because I wanted to put on record clear that what Matlala was presenting before you was not the fact. These were the facts. Kumalo, subsequent to this meeting, will show you the affidavit and the member that was sent by Sibia, the communication between Kumalo and Sibia after this meeting, as a follow-up and a further information out of this meeting that was provided. I'm not privy to that. I don't have the details of it, but I know they met and they provided further information in this regard.
I wanted to say that it is not as it looks that I'm sending sensitive information to Mr. Mutsumi. Mr. Mutsumi's got no interest in these criminal reports that I sent him, whether either from SAPS or from the media. According to me, Mr. Mutsumi is an old man with his various businesses. He's got no interest. I'm just sharing with him because of the love for the country and his concern about the safety and security of the Republic.
That's not the answer you gave yesterday in relation to the audit report. You said you shared the audit report with Mr. Mutsumi because you knew that Mr. Matlala owed him money and that he would be concerned if Mr. Matlala's contract with SAPS is terminated because there was a risk that he would not get paid. And I specifically asked you, for whose benefit were you sharing that audit report? And you said, for Mr. Mutsumi's benefit. So the answer you're giving now, that when you are told about these examples, you say he had no interest, it differs from the answer you gave yesterday. Yes?
They do not differ. It's an additional.
It's additional.
Yes.
Is Mr. Mutsumi paying General Sibia?
Of course, yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's not the question then that General Mkhwanazi asked you.
No, he asked me if I know of anyone who General Sibia, yes, is collecting money from in Gauteng. And then I said, and then the following question was, do I know General, oh, not General, do I know Mr. Steve Mutsumi?
So when General Mkhwanazi said to you, do you know anyone in Gauteng who is paying General Sibia, did you answer him before he asked you about Mr. Mutsumi, or did he immediately ask you about Mr. Mutsumi?
No, Mr. Mutsumi, it was a follow-up question.
So what was the answer to the first question?
Like the anyone question?
Yes.
Yes.
What was the answer to that question?
I said yes.
And did you then volunteer names, or did he then immediately say, well, what was his next question? Let me not frame the question for you.
Yes, yeah, the next question was if Mr. Mutsumi knows Mr. General Sibia.
Was there no follow-up to your response that General Sibia was collecting money from people in Gauteng? Did General Mkhwanazi not seek to know who he was collecting money from?
Yes, he did.
And did you give him the names?
Not the names. This is where I said I do not want to incriminate myself.
The alleged businessman Steve Mutsomi has emerged as a figure of significant influence within senior police circles, with two high-ranking South African Police Service SAPS officers telling the Madlanga Judicial Commission of Inquiry that they feared him. The now dismissed SAPS Organized Crime Unit head Major General Richard Shibiri told the commission that he was afraid of Mutsomi, a businessman with mining interest in the Northwest. Shibiri appeared at the Madlanga Commission in March 2026, where he said Mutsomi was closely associated with the businessman Zingqumalo, whom he described as a Zulu businessman based in Sandton, and a close associate of economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema. Shibiri stated that he is also linked to suspended Deputy National Commissioner Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya. Shibiri told the commission that I was once in the office of the General Sibiya. There was a female and a Chinese guy to report a case of vandalism at a mine in the Northern Cape. He said the Chinese businessman was Nxumalo's business partner. Shibiri said he later came into contact with Mutsomi through his business interests, including construction and mining activities in Brits Northwest, as well as interest in Regenbach, Gauteng. Mutsomi's alleged influence had already surfaced in earlier testimony before the commission. The KwaZulu-Natal Hawks head Major General Lesetja Senona previously told the commission, chaired by retired Constitutional Court Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga, that he was afraid to identify Mutsomi. Senona declined to name the businessman and described him as a very dangerous person. Shibiri, however, provided more details about his dealings with Mutsomi, saying he had interacted with him because Mutsomi was a complainant in an extortion case linked to his chrome mining operations. One of the commission's evidence leaders, Advocate Lee Sejels Ncube, told the inquiry that Mutsomi was the individual whose identity Senona had previously refused to disclose. The revelation prompted Justice Madlanga to express concern that Shibiri had become the second senior police officer to withhold the identity of a person considered important to the commission's investigation because of fear. The inquiry also had allegations that police information was shared with Mutsomi before suspects appeared in court. According to the evidence, Nkosi allegedly provided Mutsomi with confidential police information concerning suspects linked to chrome theft in Monoi, Northwest. The police documents reportedly indicated that investigators were still trying to establish the identity of a potential buyer of the stolen chrome. Nkosi sought to explain his interactions with Mutsomi, saying the businessman was particularly concerned when police officers were implicated in wrongdoing. One of the things that Mr. Mutsomi is always concerned about is when police are implicated in wrongdoing, so his interest is there. That is what Nkosi told the commission. He added that Mutsomi had told him that he was concerned about the reputation of the police because he believed he had South Africa's best interest at heart. Nkosi said he doesn't want when police are implicated in wrongdoing because according to him, he has the best interest of South Africa and its inheritance. So when a police official is mentioned in wrongdoing, he gets worried. We discuss it sometimes. The testimony places Mutsomi at the center of a growing web of alleged relationships between politically connected businessmen and senior police officers, a key area of scrutiny for the Madlanga Commission as it investigates allegations of corruption, criminal networks, and undue influence with the SAPS. Meanwhile, the late taxi boss Msibi, Steve Mutsomi, Katiso Molefe, and Sergeant Nkosi plotted to sell phone grabbers to Eswatini. The evidence leader, Matthew Chaskalson, revealed in the Madlanga Commission that the group had been able to represent the South African state as civilians while buying law enforcement surveillance technology, allegedly because of their association with Sergeant Nkosi. Matthew Chaskalson detailed WhatsApp exchanges involving taxi boss Jotham, King Mswazi, the late Msibi, and Sergeant Nkosi, in which they discussed an alleged plan to acquire and sell cell phone interception devices, commonly known as grabbers. The devices can be used to eavesdrop on phone calls and extract information from mobile devices. Reviewing WhatsApp messages before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry, Chaskalson said Msibi, Nkosi, Katiso Molefe, and Stephen Mutsomi appeared to be involved in a plan to acquire the devices from CISEC Republic, company using the South African Police Service as a front. The devices were allegedly intended for sale in Eswatini. Chaskalson referred to a planned demonstration involving phone expert Sean Jacobs, during which the devices would be showcased, and said what will emerge is that Mr. Msibi, Sergeant Nkosi, and quite possibly Mr. Mutsomi and Mr. Molefe have a plan to sell grabber technology to the Kingdom of Eswatini. He said, of course, that is not what the CISEC Republic has been told at all. The CISEC Republic has been told that this is a demonstration for South African Police Service. The Commission was shown correspondence relating to the proposed deal with CISEC company. Some of the documents contained official SAPS stamps. Chaskalson said one of the WhatsApp exchanges from January 2023 involved a supplier saved on Nkosi's phone as Sean Jacobs, phone expert, who had asked whether the Swazi deal was still on the table. Nkosi had forwarded the message to Msibi, who replied, "It's on the table, but they have to display. We don't want to become fools." Chaskalson said Nkosi had allegedly placed a SAPS stamp on a procurement document to facilitate the deal, which the evidence leader characterized as fraudulent conduct. The Commission also examined WhatsApp exchanges between Msibi and Kyle Phillips, a director of tobacco company Cannelings. The messages allegedly show Phillips seeking Msibi assistance after several thefts and hijacking involving cigarette consignments. In one of the exchanges, a person identified as Ali, whom Chaskalson described as a suspect robber, communicated with Phillips about the return of a stolen cigarette stock. In another exchange, Phillips allegedly offered Msibi red water, a substance used in illicit gold processing. Molefe has been implicated in allegations surrounding the murders of musicians DJ Sambodi and DJ Vintos. He is a co-accused with Vusimuzi Madlala in a case that is before the Johannesburg High Court. Further evidence shows Mutsomi and Msibi planning a trip to Paris and Hamburg for procurement meeting. They planned to buy an active monitoring system and tactical equipment to the tune of 1.6 million rand. Msibi was listed as owner of Themistyles, a security company, and Molefe as director. Chaskalson said again, we have a situation where a European dealer in high-tech security surveillance, security equipment, and the like is being told Mr. Mutsomi was a representative of the state. And further stated that if we can take a step back and take stock of what we are looking at here, because it is quite alarming. Mr. Msibi, Mr. Mutsomi, Mr. Molefe, and possibly Sergeant Nkosi are involved in a commercial project which involves the selling of high-tech surveillance systems and jamming technology. Chaskalson said crime intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo had described Msibi, the former leader of the Big Five cartel, while Molefe was on trial for murder. Molefe's firearms has been linked to more than 30 murders since in Gauteng in the past 5 years. He said Mutsomi was an individual whom the former head of Hawks, Lisija Sinona, had been afraid to mention during his testimony at the commission. These three men are dealing with foreign companies to get access grabber technology purporting to represent the state. They didn't manage in the first case to sell to the Eswatini government, but they may well have managed in this instance. We don't know. He said the group had been able to represent the South African state as civilians, allegedly due to their association with Nkosi. What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.